As we traveled through the Siskiyou National Forest, the roads were straight and the trees were tall. We arrived at Crater Lake RV Park in Prospect, Oregon. There's the check-in. They have a brand new shower and laundry facility. Most of the spaces were shaded and pretty big. There were a couple loops. It wasn't a real big park. They had this central campfire, maybe they used in the summer. It wasn't open while we were there. This is our space. It was a little congested at this end. There's a nice trail for ivy at the back of the campground. That afternoon, we decided to see a couple of the local views, and our first stop was Avenue of the Boulders, and GPS says we're here. As it turns out, that was not it, and good thing. I felt like I was in a Stephen King novel. Although the novel continued at this site, which was the correct parking lot. One man came out of the porta potty asking for hand sanitizer and to have his picture taken, and it was just a little odd. Another man saw us looking at the map and pulled up to see if we had any questions. He told us how to find the paths, and then said if we wanted to go skinny dipping, there was a great location, and that's why his hair was wet. But being adventurous, we grabbed our bear spray and headed on our adventure. It turned out to be a pleasant walk. We met a number of nice people along the way. This is Avenue of the Boulders. It leads to the Rogue River. Here is the recommended skinny dipping pool. And this is the Rogue River. If you follow the path in the other direction, you come to the Mill Creek Falls, and then the Bar Creek Falls. The total trip for all three views is about 1.5 miles or 2 miles. Just down the street is the Peyton Bridge, which gives you more nice views of the Rogue River. This is the view from on the bridge. The next morning, we took Ivy for a walk on the trail behind the campground. It brings you to this park where there's a dam, and then there's a public beach, some picnicking, and then a nice trail that follows along the lake. We went on this walk a few times. It was a great place to take Ivy. We did notice that Prospect had more trash than we'd seen around before. The park had an old car seat, and there was trash in the fire rings, and at Avenue of the Boulders there was some trash in the parking lots, and some graffiti on the rocks. The next day we headed to Crater Lake National Park. It was an hour's drive and about 35 miles from Crater Lake RV Park. Along the way we passed these piles and piles of brush. It went on for miles and miles, unbelievable. It's part of their fire management plan. They burn them all in the winter. The park had a number of these nice stone buildings. This is a visitor center. This is a restroom and store and restaurant at Rim Village. The village also offered this Senate Memorial overlook, which gives a great view of Crater Lake. Crater Lake formed when Mount Mazama erupted and then collapsed, forming a basin that filled with water. This is Wizard Island. It is a cinder cone, which is the smallest and most common type of volcano. It forms from fragments ejected from the volcano. Crater Lake averages 41 feet of snow each year. This photo shows how this visitor center can look some winters. The roads are lined with tall snow stakes. They are wooden poles put into metal holders. This is Watchman Peak with the Watchman Observation Center at the top. We are taking the mile trail to the top. There's a great view from the top, and there's where we parked down below. There's also a nice view of the crater on Wizard Island. Whitebark pine was declared threatened in 2022. It is a keystone species, which means the ecosystem can't survive without it. It has been under attack from both the native mountain pine beetle, which has increased due to warming climates, and the white pine blister rust fungus, which was introduced in 1910 but is taking its toll on the trees. These switchbacks on the Watchman Trail pass by many of the whitebark pine trees. On the way back from Crater Lake, we stopped in the Siskiyou National Forest to visit Rogue Gorge. There is a short walk on paved trails to beautiful views. Enough water flows through here every minute to fill an Olympic-sized pool. We also stopped at Natural Bridge, another short overlook trail. This cave is a blocked lava tube. The lava tube forms when hot lava cools quickly on the surface but continues to flow hot inside, creating a tube. Here the water is flowing into an open lava tube, creating a natural bridge. The water resurfaces down below where the cave is. Looking for a different place to walk Ivy, we headed for the Lost Creek Lake Edge Trail Loop, a 3.1-mile loop at Joseph Stewart Campground. Campground was open but pretty empty. It took us a little while to find the start of the trail. The signs on the trail didn't match what was on all trails, but we eventually found it, and it was a beautiful walk. It followed along the lake, went through the woods, past a little river that Ivy could play in. We saw this exciting garter snake and crossed some nice meadows. The weather was really nice and we had a great afternoon. Surprising to us, an hour south in Medford, it was wine country, so we decided to go to a winery. We went to the Crozelle Winery, where we had great wine, great views, and great weather. Cheers! That's it for this post. See you next time!